For decades, India believed its biggest security threats came from two directions: Pakistan in the west and China in the north. But what if I told you that this new emerging challenge is coming from east, particularly in Bay of Bengal? Hello everyone, my name is Rajni Jha. Welcome to Drishti IAS. Now let's have a look at the news first. Pakistan is set to deploy its newly inducted Hangor-class submarines in the Bay of Bengal. Now mind it, this is the first naval attempt in this region since 1971 Indo-Pakistan War. This submarine is Pakistan's newest attack class submarine. It was built with Chinese assistance. So this is Chinese-built advanced diesel electric attack submarine, and it has AIP technology. What is AIP technology? It is air independent propulsion technology. What does it do? This technology helps these submarines stay underwater for a very long time without surfacing. It also improves their stealth capabilities and at the same time makes it harder for enemy radar or sonar to detect them, which is why these are all the more challenging. Now, whenever we talk about India-Pakistan rivalry, we usually talk about border tensions. We usually talk about terrorism, Kashmir issue, LOC. But the geopolitical scenario is changing day by day. And this one submarine in Bay of Bengal could change India's entire strategic calculus. Let's see how. So, of course, this is important for India. Why? First reason is strategic encirclement or string of pearls concern. Now, what is string of pearls? String of pearls, I'm sure you have already read about this. So, string of pearls is China has steadily increased its influence around India in this region, as you can see, using ports and military associations. So here there is Gwadar port, there is Hambantota port, and there is Chittagong port. Now, if Pakistan does the same thing in Bay of Bengal region, what it will do is it will further these pressures, these strategic pressures that India already has. Second, Bay of Bengal was traditionally India's dominant zone. So since 1971 war, India enjoyed relative dominance over this area, these eastern waters. Pakistan majorly focused in the Arabian Sea, in this area. But now if Pakistan moves here, this will again open a naval port which will become challenging for us, again posing a problem. The third is China-Pakistan military nexus expanding. Now, of course, this submarine news shows that Chinese defense is being exported. At the same time, technology is being given to Pakistan, and likelihood, there is a very high likelihood that there will be Chinese footprint in Indian Ocean region. And what is this? All these things align with the Indo-Pacific strategy of China. And the last factor would be Bangladesh factor. Although this is not an eminent problem, this is not a problem that you can see just now, but it can become a problem in the future. Why? Let's say Pakistan decides to improve its alliance with Bangladesh, as it has been seen in recent reports. What will happen is this will open logistic doors for Pakistan in India's neighborhood. And that will become a problem for us. Why? Because India has a putting neighbor first policy, and this will complicate that policy. So what can India do? Can India do something? Yes, of course, India can respond. How can India respond? It can respond using military steps and diplomatic steps. In military steps, of course, the Indian-made submarines under DRDO, their development should be increased. At the same time, anti-submarine warfare should be focused on. And in diplomatic steps, what India can do is it can improve and build stronger relations, stronger alliances with Bangladesh. Why? So that there are no strategic drift in the future. to avoid strategic drift in the future. And it can also work closely with regional groupings like Quad and BIMSTAT. Now that we have understood this news, I'm going to give you a question. Prelims based question for UPSC. Question is, consider the following. Hangor-class submarines are nuclear-powered submarines. Second, they are being developed with Chinese assistance. Third, air-independent propulsion allows longer underwater endurance. You have to give the answer. You have to tell which of these are correct. Options are 1 and 2, B 2 and 3, C 1 and 3, or D 1, 2 and 3. You will give the answer to this question in the comment section. Apart from this, I have also added one answer writing practice question. So let's have a look at that question. Since you are preparing for UPSC, anybody who is preparing for UPSC knows that they have to start answer writing from day 1 of preparation. So this is a practice question. The question says, India's security challenges are increasingly shifting from territorial borders to maritime domains. Examine in context of emerging China-Pakistan naval cooperation in the Indian Ocean region. Now this question I have taken from today's session itself. Whenever you look at a question, there are two things that you should notice. First, what is the entire question talking about? And second, how many question stems or parts are there in this question? So first, there is a directive, examine. Whenever you are given examine means you have to break the entire question into several parts, analyze each part. If it is true, you have to give the answers to why is it true. If it is false, you have to explain why it is false. You have to give implications and solutions. So whenever you find examine, you kind of like a doctor, you have to examine every part that is there in the question. Now let's come to the second part, which is how many question stems are there in this question. The first says, India's security challenges are increasingly shifting from territorial borders to maritime domains. So that means here we are talking about two things. Initially, there were territorial borders. There were focus on territorial borders. And now there is focus on maritime. So maritime would be sea-based threats, like we have just talked about. So in the introduction, you will give just one line that how initially borders were more important, land borders were more important, territorial borders were more important, and later on the focus shifted to sea-based threats, naval competition, or Indian Ocean security region. So here you will only give introduction showing the shift from land border or territorial border to maritime border. Then in the body, you will explain these things. First part will explain this part, territorial borders, why you say so. The second part would explain this maritime shift. In the maritime shift, you can write there are sea-based threats that are there. There is Chinese submarine, which is being given to Pak, for example, in our news. Then Pakistan's naval expansion is there, and Chinese presence in Indian Ocean region is there. So all these things you have to explain over here, and then you will give the implications of all this. What are the implications that we have already discussed in the class? And finally, conclusion. You can also preface it by saying what India can do, India's role, and then conclusion, which should be visionary. Visionary strategically. So that's how you tackle a mains answer writing practice session. So that's it for today's session. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next class.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.